Etienne, I've begun this letter 6 times, perhaps 7. The first page went into the fire, second I tore apart, and the third stained with melted snow and became unreadable. The fourth was nothing but apologies repeated over and over until I could no longer bear to look at it. I do not know why I continue. You cannot read this. Perhaps that's why I'm writing at all. The dead are easier to speak to than the living, and the living ask questions and the dead only listen. You thanked me, and I wish you had not. The sentence has followed me for weeks, through every march, every meal, every sleepless night. It arrives the moment my thoughts become quiet enough to hear it. You thanked me, as though I have done something worthy of gratitude. I know what happened. I was there, yet every time I try to put the words on paper, my hand stops. Coward. There, at least the one truth has found its way onto this page. I'm a coward, not because I obeyed. I've been told often enough that obedience is expected of a soldier. No, I'm a coward because there are things I refuse to name. I tell myself I miss our conversations. I tell myself I miss hearing French spoken in the evenings. I tell myself I miss your complaints and your terrible jokes and the way you found poetry in a frozen wasteland. I tell myself I miss having someone to sit beside. All of these things are true, and yet none of them are the whole truth. The whole truth sits in front of me every night, and I pretend not to recognize it. Coward. I remember the first night you were placed in my tent. I remember being irritated by you, then amused, and then I was concerned, then accustomed. At some point, your presence stopped feeling unusual, and I stopped noticing when you arrived and only noticed when you were gone. I do not know when that happened. Perhaps that is another lie. Perhaps I know exactly when it happened, and I'm simply unwilling to look at it directly. You asked me once why I watched over you so closely, and I gave some practical answer, something about responsibility. You looked at me as though you knew I was lying. You often had that look, and I hated it. You made this honestly difficult. The men speak of you less and less now. They have moved on, and I envy them. For me, you are everywhere. Every book reminds me of you. Every scrap of French I overhear turns my head before I can stop myself. And every complaint about canned food sounds like the beginning of one of your endless speeches. You have become a ghost without the courtesy to disappear. I found myself wondering what you would think of things. Then I remember. And then I remember. And each time it feels new. There's something wrong with me, and I cannot decide whether I wish I had never met you. Life would certainly be simpler. I would sleep better, and I would think less, and there'd be one less grave in my memory. Yet, whenever I try to imagine such a life, I find it intolerably empty. What of a certain thing? A man spends months ruining my peace, and then dies, and somehow ruins it further. I almost laughed writing that, and you would have. God, you would have. I could practically hear it. You'd call me dramatic, say I'm making far too much of this. Then you would smile. That infuriating little smile, and somehow convince me that it was. You always made things lighter, especially when they were not. I wonder if it was your greatest talent, or perhaps your greatest cruelty, and you left me with something I cannot bury. There's a word for it. I know there is, and I can see its shape in the darkness. I know its name, and still I cannot bring myself to write it. What does that make me? A soldier who can carry out an order but cannot write a single word? A man who can face artillery but not a page? A coward. Perhaps one day I will be brave enough. Perhaps one day I'll write the word and discover it changes nothing, because you will still be dead, and I will still be here, and I will still wish you had stayed. I do not know where you are now. I was never a particularly religious man, and perhaps that's why I find myself hoping rather than believing. Still, I hope. I hope wherever you are, it's warm. I hope nobody is hungry, I hope nobody is frightened, and I hope there are enough books to satisfy you. I hope there is wine that meets your impossible standards. I hope there are quiet evenings and soft chairs and windows that look out into something beautiful. You would laugh at me for writing this. You would say I sound like an old man, and perhaps I do. Grief ages a person. The truth is that I do not know what the dead are given. I only know what I would have wanted to give you. Peace, comfort, time, all the things you never experienced here, and all the things I failed to place in your hands while you were alive. There. You see, even now, I can't stop myself. Even now, I'm trying to look after you. I do not know what to call this.